Scott.
I'm Nelle.
We are Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot.
And I'm freaking awesome.
You are. Yeah. You were just saying off camera how good you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Now you're to continue on with that conversation.
Well, I did feel interrupted. So I just thought I'd share.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to wrap up all the books we read in November that fit into the fiction category.
Yes.
Right. So, I participated heavily in non-fiction November. You participated lightly. So, how many fiction books did you read?
5.
And I only read 3 plus a non-fiction book that I'm going to put in with the fiction books because that's where it belongs.
Okay.
Okay. So, who's going to go first?
You.
I'm going to go first. Okay. I've just accidentally clicked off my thing. Okay. The last book that I read, because that's just how this works now, is The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood.
Ooh, that one's one of my favourites.
That is. Now, for those of you who watched my December TBR, they'll be wondering what The Blind Assassin is doing on my November wrap. That's because I got a bit sick of non-fiction and decided to start my December TBR in November. And
you got distracted, not shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this tells the story of 2 sisters and a book. And we know that one of the sisters commits suicide in like the opening page. We don't know why she committed suicide. We don't know whether it's a murder or anything. There's a blind assassin. There is a complicated love triangle thing going on. The Blind Assassin is a book that the sister who committed suicide wrote, and she is a published novelist. And then Margaret Atwood gets her hands on this and discusses multiple generations and comes up with a story in the last half of the book.
Comes up with the story in the last half of the book. It says Scott like it was an accident instead of some kind of cunningly plotted trap for your little brain.
Yes.
Your puny brain against the might of Margaret Atwood's pen.
I'm still wondering how it got into an Atwood pen cage. Yeah, so once I started to get into this book, it took a while for it to get going for me. And then I really did enjoy this book. The ending was a mite bit predictable, but very satisfying nonetheless.
Yes.
So, this is probably one of her more famous novels, and it doesn't come up to Oryx and Craig standards, but I thought it was better than The Handmaid's Tale, but I have quite a low opinion of The Handmaid's in comparison to other Atwood works, so...
Yeah.
Now, the next book I read, Zora Neale Hurston, Their Eyes Were Watching God.
Oh, this is on my list.
This is on your list. Yeah, so this one tells the story of a woman and her 3 husbands. And she has varying degrees of success in the marriage with these 3 husbands. She then runs off with one of the husbands and does all the wrong things, and is convinced that she is being mistreated and cheated on, only to find out she's not. This is it's a weird novel, this.
Strange.
Yeah.
Unusual. A bit different.
The testings of love that Zora Neale Hurston goes through in this novel are unusual, and I'm not sure whether they're good or bad, and I'm not really sure about this whole novel in general, to be honest. And I suspect that this is one of these ones where you either absolutely adore this novel and think it is one of the best novels ever, or whether it just doesn't quite get all of its pieces together right, you know?
Definitely everyone who has recommended it very strongly.
Yeah, I give this one 3 stars. It's a higher 3-star.
Yeah.
I at no point considered DNFing it.
Mm-hmm. That's high praise.
That's high praise. It just didn't quite. I mean, maybe a reread would make it all glue together.
Yeah.
But even the way it ended, I'm not sure about that whole thing with the guns and the whole. I mean, I just don't want to give away the ending.
You better not.
But
you'll be known as Spoiler Scott again. You've broken out of that, but you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, I won't be able to discuss Les Mis for another whole 12 months.
Oh my god, it's going to be at least another 12 months. I just can't get my act together.
And for those of you who don't know, Nell has banned me from discussing Les Mis until she reads it.
Yes.
Also,
because he'll spoil it.
She bans everybody from saying anything about Les Mis until she reads it, but specifically me. Yeah, so I can see why some people think this is the best book ever, but it just didn't quite. Some
part of your brain didn't click into the puzzle.
Yeah, and it the ending. I think the ending is meant to be like this whole beautiful thing, and for me, it's
not so much.
Not so much. I couldn't put myself in the characters' shoes and see the actions that they were making. It just didn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
And I suspect if you could do that, then it's a powerful ending. So, right. Well, the next one I read was on your list, so I might skip that, and I might go to my non-fiction book, which I'm including with a fiction. That's 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. So, firstly, it's a non-fiction story of 3 women told in essentially a fictional story. All 3 women are mistreated by the men in their life, essentially. The 3 women have little to no connection with each other. Like there is no connection at all between these 3 women, rather.
Yeah.
There's 3 individual stories that are done together. I quite enjoyed this book. But when I went to rate this book, I saw a whole bunch of reviews on it, slamming it, and then I disagreed with the interpretation of the slamming as well. So there's quite a lot of this book is all about sex and how men mistreat women, and a lot of people have been saying on Goodreads and that they felt like this was sort of almost like a porno book for men, but I sort of got out that it was a warning for women, is how I interpreted, almost like this is how we're treated, empathize with us, sort of thing. Like one of the women's stories was essentially the same as My Dark Vanessa. One of them was a woman who had to leave her husband and found another guy, and the guy wasn't interested in her, and she was essentially the other woman. And then the other one was an anorexic woman who would sleep with other men because her partner wanted her to do it, and they would have threesomes all the time and stuff. So it was really exploring sex. What struck me with all of these stories is that the power dynamic was very heavily towards the men and very little towards the woman. And I thought that was trying to make you empathize with the women. Now, there's a whole lot of reviews out there that disagree with that interpretation that I took from it. And if you don't take that interpretation from it, then this is just a smart book. And that's probably, and therefore it's going to be a love it or hate it novel. This book also gets criticized for having all white, all rich, all pretty sort of women in it, rather than having any sort of, you know, coloured representation. And she addresses that in one of the in the sort of the epilogue, or I don't know what she called it, but the end of the book, where she essentially says, if, you know, it's hard enough to get people to listen to women as it is, you know, and we've got the most hope if we use the women in the most privileged positions. So that's why everybody in here is rich and white and powerful. I'm not sure I agree with that argument, but it has actually been addressed. And if the aim of this book is to create a movement or a change, then I can see why that is important. Overall, I found the writing good, and I wanted to know what was happening, and I enjoyed this book. But I've sort of spent a lot of time discussing why other people hate this book and why I disagree with it.
Yeah.
I suspect that this is definitely a Marmite.
Yeah.
Why do we call it a Marmite book? Where in Australia, this is a Vegemite book.
Because everyone fucking loves Vegemite, no one hates it. Unless you're not from here.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just picking on foreigners.
Vegemite is picking on foreigners.
No, like, it's just, if we were to call it a Vegemite book, it'd be like Aussies love it and foreigners hate it.
Oh, it's just that foreigners don't know how to eat Vegemite. Put it on ice cream.
Says the man who will eat red kidney beans with ice cream because he's got an illness.
Yeah. Yeah, well, lots of people do that.
What else did you read, Scott?
The last book I read that was a fiction book is How to Lose a Time War.
Oh, we both read that.
Yes, that's why I saved it for last, so it can be like an interlude into your books.
You're an interlude.
You're an interlude. All right, Nell, what did you think of How to Lose a Time War?
That's the book. It was good. It wasn't the best epistolary novel I've ever read. It wasn't the best Shakespeare retelling I've ever read. It wasn't the best sci-fi I've ever read, but it was all three of those things, and it was a bit of fun.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of fun, but it wasn't the best book.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it, but it's not. I don't think I'll remember this for anything other than the novelty. Like, it hasn't moved me deep in my soul or anything.
Yeah.
I did enjoy some of the ways that they expressed love. I did enjoy. It was quite imaginative, and I did enjoy like the ever-changing setting and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was just a bit of fun.
It was a bit of fun, yeah. So if you don't know, this is essentially a love story in the middle of a war that is between machines and humans, I guess.
Machines and the garden, which seems to be like an organic sort of hive mind thing.
Yeah.
And it's conducted throughout time, so it's a time travel-y one.
And that is...
And different realities as well, so like across different realities.
On top of that, it's a retelling of Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
So it's an interesting novel like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's... when you retell a novel, a story that everybody knows, like Romeo and Juliet, it's always interesting to see how it's changed.
Yeah.
And
how the focus is shifted.
Yeah.
They were much less concerned with family honour than in the original, you know. and much more concerned with not getting killed.
Yeah, that was... they were very scared of their family in this
Yeah, rather
case.
than... Yeah.
Yeah. Both characters are women in this, and I don't really understand
I don't think there are
why.
any men. I can't remember a single male character. The only one that I'm unsure about is at the very end, well, quite towards the end, Blue is an apprentice, and the person they apprentice to, I'm not sure if that was a woman, but all of the characters are women.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is intentional or just because there aren't actually many characters and we're having a bit of queer rep.
Yeah, I mean, to have a female-female relationship does not need to have a point. It,
No, that's great.
Just the same as having a male-female relationship doesn't have to have a point.
Mm.
But it does seem, it is a choice to do that, I guess, and I can't see why. It's a choice to make all the characters female.
Yes.
And so therefore your relationship will be female to female, I guess. Like, obviously, what else could you have?
Well, you could have no relationship, but yes.
But I don't see what it has added to the... I don't...
I like that it's just incidental queer rep. Like, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, I don't think... I think there should be more incidental queer rep. I think that, books with queer people in them don't have to be about the agonies of coming out or, the injustices our society inflicts upon them. They, get haircuts and fall over in front of buses and like all the things that straight people do.
It's like having every book that centers a woman being about like being a domestic abuse victim or childbirth or
menstruation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't rank books, but I did enjoy it. It didn't change my world.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to discuss next?
I think this sort of falls into the same category of I enjoyed this, but it didn't change my world. It was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction, which really, and longlisted for the Booker. It was alright, but I didn't feel it that much. My Sister, the Serial Killer is about a lady whose sister is a serial killer. It was fun. It was enjoyable. I really liked the central character and narrator. I also liked her sister, the serial killer. Like, maybe a bit too much. She was just not having it.
I was really surprised to see that this was shortlisted for the Booker because it's essentially really, really good genre fiction, isn't it? It's not...
I mean, it was thoroughly enjoyable, but I didn't feel like it had any great message or thing to say. It was just... one of the quotes on the back says delightfully naughty, and I think that's really like that. It was a naughty story, and you're not like with people, main characters who you really shouldn't sympathize with, but you do anyway. And
everybody likes to love a villain, don't they?
Yes.
Especially basically the sister is a Nigerian lady version of Dexter. Like,
I mean, I don't think that's entirely true. I think she's a bit of a spoiled brat too.
That's certainly not.
And they're super well off. And there's a lot of fuss is made of the serial killer's prettiness, and her sister is a little bit the ugly sister. Yeah,
I guess there's some analysis you could have there with what that's saying, but
I just thought this was fun. I thought it was a quick, easy, fun read, and I'm glad I read it. But yeah, fun.
I would compare it to like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, good trash.
Yeah.
Said with, respect.
Trash doesn't have to be bad, does it?
No, I feel like other people would call it guilty pleasure, I guess, that category, and I don't like being guilty about my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a review out of this book.
I have. I urge anyone who reads this to listen to the music that is mentioned in the afterword, and I get into that a bit in my review video. The Deep is about mer people who came into existence when slave ships threw pregnant women overboard and their children were born in the sea.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's not your fault that he's a cheeky bugger.
Yeah. He just wants attention. He actually does not want to be up here at all.
No, he wants to make as much noise as possible.
Yeah. I've just got to coerce him into staying here.
Just coerce him into accepting affection.
That's it.
So in this society, underwater society, they have a memory keeper, and the story centers on Yetu, the memory keeper, who keeps all their multi-generational trauma in her to save the rest of the society from remembering it. Has a lot to say, this little tiny book, so much to say about community and multi-generational trauma and white supremacy and Afrofuturism and just so many things, and I loved it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was super evocative, and playing the music just increased that. So I recommend.
Yeah, and you've got a long review out of this.
Yeah.
Well, which we'll link in the description or something. No. In your box.
Poor little dog. He just wants to play. He's got terrible timing.
He does. He always, as soon as we start filming, he's just like, oh, you're free.
Okay, so Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. This was awesome. This was also fun, but had plenty to say. I really enjoyed this. It's about queer women in a society where that will get you executed. And they...
Is this the Western?
This is the Western. It's like a dystopian Western. They have a roaming library in a wagon, and they use it to distribute illegal materials. And
so it's a book about books. It's feminist, dystopian Western.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds awesome.
It's really good.
Potentially not the highest art ever, but that sounds like fun.
It's fun, and I think it had plenty to say, and you could get into it heavily. What I really like about it, and this is so like trivial, but if you look at they're all about distributing unofficial materials. So the government of the day has to approve all books and literature and pamphlets and all the written word. So they're sort of sneaking messages town to town to share knowledge, and the kind of rebellious act that you do when you're under that sort of authoritarian government. But this book is, all the edges of the pages are torn. Yeah. So they're all rough, like they're homemade. So it's like this book is unapproved materials, which I just think is really nice.
Did you get it from a wagon that was also a library?
I want a wagon library. Can we build one? That would be so cool.
She's serious.
They know.
They're like, yeah, why wouldn't you want a wagon library?
I thoroughly enjoyed this. I read it super fast. It was very funny and action-packed, and all the characters were likable. I just don't have anything negative to say about that at all.
All right.
And then the winner.
The winner?
Winner chicken dinner. We have a review of this coming up. It's not out yet.
I think it will be out by the time
it will be
this is
out
uploaded.
by the time this is uploaded. So check that out for a it's not the full inside of my brain when it comes to this book, but it's a fair idea of how much I thought that this was amazing.
Wait, you've rated this the inside of your brain.
What?
What did you just say? It's not the full inside of my brain, but that's how much
the review is not the full inside of my brain.
Inside?
Inside of I didn't scoop my brain out and give the whole brain to you in the review. It's only a partial brain excerpt.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying now?
Yes, I have caught up. Yeah.
I'm sorry if I'm confusing. Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi. I will be reading everything they write.
Yeah. They're incredible, aren't they?
The writing is just perfect. And it's their first novel. Like, just ridiculous. The subject matter is great. The plot is great. The characters are great. The writing itself, I just can't get over. And there was so much to talk about afterwards.
You said that this is your favourite book of the year.
Favourite book of the year. Easy. Hands down.
Just easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So don't dismiss the little quickies, because sometimes they're the gems. In fact, both of my favourite books this year have been very short.
Quickies. So you read Kindred earlier this year, and now Octavia Butler is one of your favourite authors, if not your favourite author of all time. How does Akwaeke Emezi rate after just one book?
This is winning.
So Akwaeke Emezi is now your favourite, with the caveat that you want to read more of her novels.
I mean, I don't like to rank authors. They're completely different, and they can both. I can love them both.
Yeah, you can. You can. Sorry.
Don't make me marry authors.
All right. Kill, snog, marry.
No.
Atwood, Butler, Emezi.
No. That's not how it works.
No?
No. I don't have to choose. You can have all of them.
Right. Yeah. So you've got a polygamy, and you got to snog them all, and you got to kill Turtle.
You.
No.
For trying to make me choose.
Okay.
Brilliant. If you haven't read it, read it. And if you have read it, go listen to me talk about it in the review and then talk back in the comments. So that's me. That's what I read. Yeah, it was good. Good month.
Yeah. Well, that's all the books we're going to discuss, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the end of the story.
I'll have a separate review out for the non-fiction
where
books.
He will talk to you for much longer because he had many more books.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not in that one.
Yeah. All right. Have you read any of the books we had read? I think there was 8 books we ended up discussing.
Yep. What do you think? Are there any of the ones that we haven't done reviews for that you'd like to see reviews for? Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye. Oops.